Welcome to this reading. I'll get started here in a second. I'm gonna light one of my little votives up. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little anyway. I had a little road trip to do, and now I'm back. So I thought maybe I'll hop on and do one of these bad boys for you. If you missed my videos yesterday, you will know I was talking about finances and stuff. Okay. And I also posted out there to show you guys because I did, for an example, I went out and I set up a Schwab account. And I was able to do it in like 30 minutes, you know? So if that's something that intimidates you, if that's something that you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, well, you can go out there and set up an account just like you set up your Google account, right? It's kind of that simple, right? And if you've ever Venmoed anybody, PayPal anybody, it's basically like you fund your account, right? And then you're able to go and do your investing and stuff like that. So if you're into the investing topics, please do go check out those that 3-part video. Okay. I should also mention that I'm not somebody who's into promoting crypto. I don't have anything against it, but I'm just not like, you know. So, anything I post about, investing or whatever, do all that stuff at your own risk, obviously in your own risk level. Um, but just like I mentioned, real estate being a risky investment, so is crypto. But there's other things that are less risky, and years of market data can show you that. So I just wanted to go out and see how easy it was to actually set up an account because it's not something I've done in a while. And yes, on that platform, there's people out there spend more time trolling right on Facebook than it would take to go and do something good for yourself, right? And I think on their platform, there's really like no minimums and stuff. So you don't have to be like, oh, you have to have this much money to open an account. No, you can start at zero, it looks like. You know what I mean? So definitely take advantage of the tools available to you. Okay. Because we're here for the long haul, right? We're not just, necessarily living for today. We have futures to take care of and people that we care about to take care of as well. Okay, so all right. Blue the Velociraptor. That sounds exciting. Scarlett Jones asking a question. Are you? Oh, yes, I'm fine. I had a little road trip earlier. Me and the dog went and but we're back now. So that was kind of a whirlwind. Anytime you're driving on the interstate, right? And it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, really? This is how they've set the exit up for all this traffic? You know what I mean? So yeah. And to top it off, on my little trip, I got some hot chicken. I tried out a new hot chicken place, so I was very happy about that. 'Cause I love hot chicken. It is. It's crazy out there, and then you have the folks doing the long haul stuff too. And then there's the cars zipping. I saw a car in front of me change lanes at least like 3 times, and it was like, what was the point? What was the point? Anyway. So I will get into some tarot for y'all. If you're like me and a baseball fan, maybe you're watching baseball, maybe you're not watching baseball because you're a baseball fan, right? My team hasn't done so great the last couple games, so we'll see what happens here. Yeah. So yes, but it was a nice day. Had my windows down a little bit, the music going, and I know, right? Scarlett Jones down there. Sometimes we type so fast we don't even know. Right? There's no spell check in the chat, right? Don't worry, this is not an email to your boss, and it will not be broadcasted to everybody. But if the chat replay is on, then maybe it will. if your boss watches my channel, which if they do, then you might have to set up some boundaries. Be like, get your own tarot reader. Just kidding, just kidding. I don't have anybody blocked on this channel unless they come over here causing a ruckus. You know what I'm saying? And all my readings are free on this channel. The only thing you pay with is your time and, you know, watching any YouTube ads, which currently I don't make any money off of, FYI. Just FYI. So if you think I'm over here trying to get rich off of y'all, no. That's, no. Okay, so anyway, we'll get into this, and I think today is actually the day of the full moon, right? It was very full last night, or wasn't last night technically. Anyway, it looked very nice last night, and I think we have some meteor showers coming up. So I don't know how well those will be visible since we just had this full moon. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's see what comes out first here. Page of Cups. Okay. Somebody thinking lovingly about you. Somebody in the chat saying the 22nd going to be the new moon. So we are fully into Libra season now. The 22nd will be towards the end of Libra season. So changing over into Scorpio about that time for that new moon. So that'll be interesting. Okay. I believe in the Western astrology, this full moon was in Aries. So if you were feeling a lot of like kind of almost emotional, like just ready to, you know, that type, talking like a tea kettle, right? It's like the water's boiling, 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 and all of a sudden, okay. So that's how I would like to describe some of this Aries energy that came through in the other calendar. I am not certain. Here, look, Aries, hello, Emperor. Interesting. Okay. So for some of you, collective, you may have tapped into this Emperor Aries energy literally during this full moon and was like, yeah, I'm here for it. Yes, that's me, you know, and you're like, and I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me. Right? A lot of people in the collective have been harassed by others, have we not? I mean, I know folks out there that literally had to move out of their homes because they were harassed to that level. But I'm not somebody who likes to put up with that kind of BS, right? But I understand that those things can happen, right? And an emperor is somebody who's like, no, you're not, you don't get to do that to me. Okay. So I'm not for sure who this is in the collective, but I feel like it was kind of one of these things where it's like boiling, 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 boiling. And then finally somebody's like, yeah, okay, it's your turn to sit down now because I've had enough of your BS. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like that person in the chat that I just had to hide because that's harassment. That is literally harassment. You know, they think it's cute and funny, but I don't. So they're not on the channel anymore. Anyway. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's like, who is that person? You know what I mean? Is that something you just walk up to somebody on the street and be like, hey? You know what I mean? Like, okay. Scorpio, the river card, death card here, right? Again, kind of taking that moon energy, that powerful Aries kind of that stands with a fist, right? You ever see that movie Dances with Wolves? It's like she's like, no, I'm standing here. Do you understand? Like, this is mine. You know? So boundaries might be very important for somebody as well. I was kind of getting that message before the reading. I know somebody who, you know, and I get it, you know, when you're starting a new relationship, then there's somebody in the old relationship, right, that thinks that they can just come in, walk in your house and blah, blah, because, you know, there's kids here, or something, you know what I mean? Something like that, right? And then it's like, well, we might need to kind of reestablish some boundaries, right? So, yeah, you might be putting a stop to some things, a death, an ending to some things that are really going to help other things flow for you in a better way, right? Kind of like the traffic patterns, right? Well, if you put the roadblock up here, then the traffic has to go that way. Okay. But sometimes we realize, oh, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I had to take a detour because there was another wreck at one of these intersections because, people like to drive like maniacs in town, you know? And it's like, yeah, take a rest. Take a rest from doing that. Okay. So I ended up detouring and then I got to where I needed to go and it was all Tribune. You know what I mean? How often do I go live? Oh, you might be newer to the channel. I would say a few times a week. However, that kind of varies on what other things I have going on since, YouTube isn't necessarily my income source, but this is a channel that I started, to share in my free time, just as other people share their free time. Some people share their free time by going to open stages and performing music. Some people go to craft hours with their friends. This is me, what I do. Okay. You know what I mean? Some people like to get all uptight about it because it involves tarot cards and things. But, the thing is, I'm talking about my experiences, like how I was driving on the road today. So if somebody has a problem with that, they can just piss right off. Okay. Like go elsewhere, start your own channel, all of those things, right? All righty. So let's keep going. So yeah, adjusting to the flow. Okay. Yes. 6 of Cups. There we go. There it is. Right. So change the flow of the river, then what are you going to run into? Write what you need to. Perhaps. Okay. Okay, I feel like this could make somebody very happy as well, and as well as you, collective. This could also be very healing for you, especially because this is appearing in the heart chakra placement. Okay. What's on a loop? Oh, look at that. Dude, I cannot make it up. Lover's card. Hello. Okay, so Gemini as well. You might feel very connected to this person. This person could feel like, the type that can finish your sentences. Or you can like kind of read each other's thoughts without, you know what I mean? Have you ever been in one of those situations? You're like at the party, whatever, and like the person that came in the chat really like, want a party? And you come in there with somebody else, like it could be a friend, it could be your partner, it could be anybody, and you're kind of looking at each other like, maybe we need to get right up. Where do we go? Okay. I don't think y'all needed for me to really explain. Okay. 80% of communication is nonverbal. That's something I learned in college. So, that's a college statistic. So, for some of you, collective, since this is appearing in the throat chakra, I feel like you have some kind of secret language. Twins are also known to have their own language, but with this person, it's kind of like, so maybe this is a twin flame. I don't know. I try not to throw that label out there so much because everybody be like, oh, everybody's my twin. No, not everybody's your twin flame. Sorry, it's just not. It does not work that way. There's false twins, there's soulmates, there's kindred spirits, there's all different kinds of levels, right? The guy that was looking for the mattress bang, they're the flop house type. That's the lower energy, right? Obviously. Okay. Yeah. La 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 la. Chariot, Cancer. So, okay. We have Aries, Scorpio, Gemini, and Cancer. Okay. Now, this appearing in the third eye, this person sees themselves with you. Like you guys are the team. Okay. Um Ride 'em a cowboy, I heard. So, for some of you, this may be happily a heterosexual relationship. Okay. Not saying you can't figure that out in other relationships, but I'm just saying this one, that's the message I am getting. Okay. People get so bad out of shape. And it's like, but have you ever watched what was that? Millionaire Matchmaker, right? She has all these women come in, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, she looks at the girl, she's like, well, he's looking for a blonde. Are you willing to go blonde? Right? And like the woman's never been a blonde before in her whole life. And she's like, yeah. People are allowed to like what they like and don't like. And you can change for somebody or you don't have to change for somebody. Okay, it's totally up to you. So if you got something going on that somebody else doesn't care for, guess what? It's just not their cup of tea. Don't take it so friggin' personally. Move on. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Right? Many of us have been rejected many, 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 many times over. Right? Eight of Swords. And sometimes what people want you to be stuck in. They want you to be stuck in that rejection. No. So this appearing in the crown, what it's doing, it's kind of like when the mummy awakens, right? He's like, you got to stretch out first, but you got to unwrap all the bandages. You know what I mean? Like, open up that peepers, have some sand in your eyes. Time to wake up, right? Time to wake up and realize that they don't make the rules. You do. You do. This 8 could also be significant because it could be a karmic situation where people are finding out that they don't, like, you're not the boss of me, right? You're not the boss of me. You're not the boss of me. Yeah, they say that, and it's like, but they want to be the boss of you. It's like, no, it doesn't. Again, it doesn't really work that way. Surprise! All right. So, sometimes when people pull these cards and they think, oh God, there must be something wrong with me. Well, maybe, right? Maybe there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean? Maybe there's nothing inherently wrong with you. Okay? Think about that. Maybe you are as God created you to be. Okay? So, there's hope even for the wrapped up rose. But think about that. Sometimes we wrap things up so we can preserve them, right? Put a little extra paper towel in with your veggies, right? So they last longer. Okay? It's like these people thought they stuck you in the cooler, in the freezer, and you're here like, oh, actually I just now I understand it's time. Okay. Milton Malcolm says, me next, but this is not a personal reading. This is a collective. This is a collective reading. I really do encourage you guys to go and check out local readers in your neighborhood. They're there. They're at the fairs and the festivals, and some have, walk-in offices as well. Okay. I just saw one not too long ago. It said like $10 outside. So, it seems pretty reasonable to me. You know what I mean? And remember, the messages here are always free. I am not charging anybody to be on this channel, Manifest Wisely. I will never charge a single soul to be on this channel, Manifest Wisely. You understand me? Okay. All right. Let's get into some other stuff. I know I'm feeling like I could benefit from some makeup today. Do you know what I'm saying? Anywho, I think it's because I was trying to listen to that baseball game last night and went so late, and I was up, and I had contractors in the house, Oh my God. You know what I mean? When you're running a household, there's things to do. There's things to do, right? What else are we going to get into here? Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to do the Moonology Oracle just because we had the full moon, okay? We're in the full moon right now. And that Aries popped up. So again, we had the signs Cancer, Gemini, Scorpio, and Aries already appear in this reading. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Bada bang, baby, bada bang. I hope nobody calls and does a wellness check on me for singing in my own fucking house, right? I feel like some of these people that call all these wellness checks on people just like they want friends or something. This is why I don't understand like why these people don't just go on YouTube and start their own channels and shoot the shit. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll have some friends so they don't have to make phony phone calls to the police on people that are minding their goddamn business and paying their fucking taxes and all that other motherfucking shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what, nothing good on TV? Nothing good on TV these days, y'all? Anyway, honk if you're horny, right? Work through your fears. New moon, Scorpio. Who was talking about that new moon? Scarlett Jones, wasn't that you? And it's going to be happening, I think, just at the end of Libra season at the start of Scorpio. Okay. Now, if you understand, science and nature, you'll understand that that's probably why my dog was barking her head off a little bit last night because the full moon. It's what people, it is that there's just such a culture of, no, you just have to sit here and do nothing and, I mean, when you were a child, is that how you acted? Right? Some of these teachers be like, the kids don't want to behave. Well, what are the fucking teachers doing? Some of them, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I understand some of it, you know what I mean? Anyway. Your dreams need a practical plan. Okay. So like when I was talking about investing the other day, right? Saving your pennies. Okay. Maybe you read some article about something and blah, blah, you're like, oh, that's the best idea ever, right? Okay, what's your plan for it? Right? Not saying you can't start, right? And have that idea, but then, you got to fill in the blanks in between, right? Okay. Or maybe it's, I want a new car. Okay, well, what's your plan to get that? You hear? Yeah, a little bit of hard work. Taurus knows what hard work is, right? But also making your money work for you. So maybe, investing and growing that money, right? That's what I was talking about the index funds the other day. One of the safest ways to invest your money is in an index fund in the stock market, okay? And anyway, and you're investing in real things, real products, products that we consume and buy and eat and all those things and drive, right? Anyway. So, is an emperor going to be like, oh yeah, I'll just sign wherever? No. The emperor is going to have their lawyers on it, their accountants, all sorts of folks, right? Looking over that because they know what a practical plan means and they don't want to get sued in the process. They don't want to be getting hauled into court because Joe Blow said, sure, we can do it. And then somebody signed on the dotted line. Okay. every now and then, I think the reason she's out there barking is because, like, I just gave her, like, a hot dog or something. She's been like, hey, guys, my mom gave me a hot dog. What up? They're barking back at her now. Yeah, she's out there chatting with her friends. You know, gotta get on the old phone. Gotta get on the old phone, right? What'd we do before cell phones? What'd we do before? Oh, I know. What'd we do before text messaging? We actually had to say the shit out loud, right? On the phone that hangs on the wall in the kitchen where everybody can hear you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right? That's how a lot of us grew up, right? And before that, some of, our folks and grandfolks were lucky to even have a freaking phone, right? It was text, but it was written in letters through the mail service, right? Hopefully everyone's getting their mail, right? Oh, don't want to touch a nerve there. Don't want to touch a nerve. Okay, you and your loved ones are safe. Again, the sign of Cancer and new moon. So maybe for somebody, as this new moon approaches, that might be something that you want to meditate on is, and maybe you're somebody like, well, I don't know if my family's safe. We don't live by each other, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's when you have to think about the power of prayer. Okay. That's when you have to think about the power of meditation. That's when you have to think about the power of the universe. And you have to say, hey, universe, please look out for my family today. Right? Stuff like that. Boy, something's going on out there. Anyway, guess I'll have to go out there after this reading's over. Your hard work is paying off, Capricorn. See, like the second. Hey! Hey! Come on! Come on! Yeah. I think there's a new dog out there. She's like, Mom, I was barking at them. At least she's not so close to the fence line now, But that's what dogs do. They mark their territory. They defend their territory through barking. This is the thing with the Aries, okay? Where Aries is, the Emperor is like, what do you mean, move? This is my kingdom. This is where I live. You know what I mean? This is my pad, man. Okay? Well, I know it has to be a new dog because the other dog that's normally out there, especially close, is usually doesn't even say, doesn't hardly bark at all. I think I've heard the other dog bark like twice. Some dogs just don't. She's a barker though. Anyway, nothing is yet set in stone. Okay, so understand that about hard work, right? You can be like, oh, well, let's not quite finish it. Exactly. We're going to put more work into it, right? Because you got to realize sometimes going back to the drawing board is exactly what you need to do. Okay. Oh my God. One more card, please. We saw a dog out on our walk earlier too, and she just got. I mean, she was just like. "Ah!" It was like she was talking to them about something. You know, it was just because sometimes she sees my she's just like whatever. Hold your vision here, fixed moon. Okay, so the vision you have, yeah, exactly, and that ties in with this Eight of Swords here. Okay, so the vision that some people had of you is a rose that's not yet opened up, not yet unfolded. No, that one's not going to bloom. No, send that one back. You know what I mean? But talking heads finding out, right? Max Headroom was in the 80s. We're in 2025, aren't we? So hold your vision. Maybe you've had your vision since the days of Max Headroom. Okay? Hard work pays off. There's people that have won, like the National Book Award, right? What was that one movie? It was called, I want to say it was Finding Forrester, maybe. Anyway, it had Sean Connery in it, and he played a famous, although reclusive author that had written one book, and it won this. And it was like his first book, and he won like the National Book Award, which is like, aside from like a Pulitzer, that's like, big deal, like one of the biggest deals you can do. And then part of the story was, everyone's like, well, when's the next book? What are you gonna do after that? And he was like, well, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, there it is. you know So the vision you have and, the mission you have to complete, okay? So that might be working through the fear here, because it could be one of those things where people are like, oh, what next? Oh, what next? Yeah, and I'll tell you this too. I saw a brief clip of an interview with three divas. One was Shaka Khan, one was Patti LaBelle, and then somebody else was sitting there with them. I cannot remember for the life of me who it was. My apologies. Um, and the interviewer was asking them, they're like, so does it get easier as you get older? Blah, blah. And they're like, no, it gets harder. And they're like, they want you to do the same steps you did when you were 20 years old, and they want you to perform longer, and they want you to do more. And okay, you see what I'm saying? So, the amount that you put out there for others' consumption, all right, is entirely up to you. Okay? Don't get browbeated into oversharing this and, doing the next that and whatever. You don't have to. Okay? I feel like a lot of people get guilted into that in various forms. Okay? So, no, you don't have to explain who you are for others to validate your existence. Guess what? Somebody aside from us has already done that. And that's why you're here right now on this planet, because you were deemed worthy. Okay? Okay. Yeah. And I feel like that's part of why you're getting some of this with the reunion card and the lovers card here, and uh, with the chariot, because it's like you've realized you're worthy of a. I heard the phrase worthy opponent, but it's not quite an opponent. You know what I mean? It's not somebody who's trying to tear you down. It's somebody who's helping build up, right? Um, unless that's your assignment to take down this building, and then, maybe you're on the demo crew. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I always think those are interesting to watch on YouTube, like the old Vegas hotels coming down and stuff like that. Anyway, So that is all. Now she's done barking. That's what I have for you guys today. Okay, do go back and watch those personal investing videos. Okay, if you're somebody, those videos I made, because it's for folks who are, maybe don't want to go in to a brokerage firm or something, and they're just a little nervous and be like, because trust me, I've had the experience before where I've gone in places and and if you don't have $1 million in the bank or have $1 million in the bank, they don't want you as a client. They don't want to talk to you. So I understand. Okay. Yeah, maybe you're like, yeah, I want to be a millionaire one day. Okay, great. Okay. That's where your dreams need a practical plan. You're like, I want to be a millionaire. Okay. All right, now let's layer in some steps. Right? Okay. All right. I think this was a very good reading today. Okay. Even with all the background distractions. But hey, I have kids, in the form of a big barking dog that makes big poops because she's 100-pound dog. Oh, anyway. Yeah. So, um, um, what else we got here? Yeah. All right. I'm doing it. I'm giving you guys some romance angels. I can't help myself. I think it's the full moon. I'm just saying. By the way, if anybody does call the cops on you, you can request a Freedom of Information Act and do all those things to pursue legal action against people for filing false reports on you. You do know that, right? Some of us just have other things to do than chase little dumb idiots. I just figure, don't the police know who these people are already? Why do I need to file a report for them to come tell me that I'm fine? You know what I mean? Maybe somebody on the police force will be bored enough to go look it up. Yeah, exactly. Daniel Werman asking if someone will bail him out of jail. Yeah, they don't give you your cell phone in jail, do they, Daniel? With the internet saying, hey, can you bail me out? That's what I find so mesmerizing about some of these, little phony reports and phone. These people can just call up, make up anything about you, and then they can essentially shut your business down for like a whole until you can prove your innocence. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Anyway, surely the police know what they're doing, though. La da 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 da. Love yourself first. Self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. You ever see that one? SNL. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me. Right? You guys, I'm sure it's on YouTube where they make Michael Jordan do it, right? And you think like, Michael Jordan doesn't need it, especially when I grew up like, the Bulls and Jordan, but they had him do that, right? And he's kind of, it was like funny, but at the same time, it's like, well, why doesn't Michael Jordan need to tell himself that he's good enough? Because what if he got injured? What if that day, the shots were off? Do you know what I'm saying? We all have that Michael Jordan within us, all right, where we're just like, yeah, I'm gonna go after it, okay. And when it doesn't work out, then it's like, oh, and then you think, well, it didn't work out because nobody loves them, right? No, that's not true. All right, that's defeating self-talk. You need to love yourself first, okay? So that just means saying, yeah, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, doggone it, people like me, yeah. Yeah. Daniel Werman says, never rob a bank with a friendly pit bull. Do you know Pitbull? He's got his own channel on Sirius, Isn't it like called Pitbull's Dance Party or something? You know? Throwing hands, throwing hands. That's actually what throwing hands is supposed to mean, y'all. Okay, you know that, right? You know that, right? Because if you start throwing hands at somebody, then you're gonna get stands with a fist in the form of an uppercut or a jab or a left fucking hook. I don't know. Take your pick, right? Take your pick. First, I'd be like, I'm happy doing this. All right. Alrighty. You deserve love. Look at this. See, you are lovable. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares. You know, you ever had that day? You ever have those days? Ladies, I mean, every 28 to 30 days or so. I mean, you know, we're kind of familiar with this stuff. Right? And then you eat a sandwich and you're fine. Right? You're like, yeah, now you're back to I'm good enough, I'm smart enough. And okay, so that's part of loving yourself first. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's that saying? Don't be so thirsty that you drink from a poison cup. Okay. You know, just because somebody else is like, oh here, eat what I made you. Yeah. Just saying, some people never wash their hands. Retreat. Okay. It's time to disconnect from the world. Okay. So this, you and your loved ones are safe. Yeah. So this transformation here of the Scorpio card, um, I know this is going to sound weird. So I feel like what I'm getting for some of you, this message, is that with this concern over your loved ones, some of that has been a distraction for actually transforming and retreating to the world that you need to be in. So the message that you and your loved ones are safe is the type of thing where it's like, okay, because guess what? Remember back before we had cell phones and text messaging, right? And when we went on a trip, we were not in constant communication. Okay. So this is saying that, you know, no calls from your mother-in-law or your dad or your whoever while you're on your honeymoon. Okay? Don't be texting your mom, be like, oh, I'm waiting for her to get ready so we can go out to dinner. Okay. Congratulations, you're eating. Most people do. Right? Do you need to text your mother that on your honeymoon? They can ask questions the next time you see them. Okay. So this is what I'm saying. Understand that you and your loved ones are safe. So it's okay to go and enjoy that retreat with that person, you know, that's not, you know, your bro or whoever. Okay. You know, I went out on a couple dates with somebody and then I went over to their place to kind of hang out and, you know, kind of see, you know, like whenever. And then, you know, we kind of got a little romantic or whatever. And then as soon as that was done, then they were on the phone to their buddy saying, hey, my new bitch is here. And I was like, yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like that third wheel just keeps showing up. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Boundaries. Boundaries. What was the episode of Sex in the City? Yes. Charlotte and Trey. Mm-hmm. And their beautiful classic 6, right? On the Upper East Side. How lovely. And he gave her that wonderful wedding ring. Oh, yes, the whole thing. Right. Right. And then who comes in to give them their new dust ruffle but his mother? And you know, well, how newlyweds are, and then oh my god, she saw them. Oh, and she was on. Oh my god. Well, they were in their own house fucking like people do. Get a hobby. Don't you fucking knock? Don't you fucking knock? You know, even children understand this when, right? You're so used to running into your parents' room, and then that one day you run in there, and then you're like, ah! Right? Then you're like, I ain't never running in there ever again. Right? In fact, I'm gonna be opening up that Schwab account right now so I can work on getting my own place so I never have to see that. That's a healthy boundary, people. That's a healthy boundary, okay? Not everyone's raised with the co-sleeping concept, okay? Some of us have our own fucking rooms and we don't live in a goddamn commune. Okay? See how quiet it just got? I didn't even know what now, I'm not saying I was raised in a boundaryless house. I wasn't. But I didn't even understand the concept of boundaries until I first like started getting into therapy and stuff in my 20s, okay? And I was like, boundaries, what's that? You know? But like maybe if you had a brother or sister and like maybe if you had to share a room, you understood like literal, like sometimes it's a physical boundary. Like, yeah, we're gonna put the tape down the middle of the room. That's the boundary, right? You're on my side, right? Some people think because they're related to or because they love you, because they love the person you're with or whatever, that there are no boundaries that exist. That's a fallacy. Boundaries are healthy. Boundaries are healthy. Oh, well, back in the old days, they just gave birth to everybody in front of the whole royal crew. Well, good for fucking them. We are not in 1652 anymore. And guess what? We actually have science and hospitals and all these things so people don't die during childbirth anymore either. There's actually a fundraiser in town for some maternal health, which I thought was a very good fundraiser for the hospital because if mama's gone, she ain't gonna have no more. Right? Again, boundaries. So taking care of your own health, not just the health of those around you, right? Unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going, okay? So you might be in a situation where, it's like somebody doesn't respect those boundaries. So if they're not going to respect the boundaries, then it's like, well, maybe we need to move on, right? Maybe you can do the co-sleeping and we'll just, be over here in our separate hotel rooms blasting the fucking HBO that they got in here or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. Some people will be like, well, they didn't have this back then. No, they didn't. So go sign up for PBS 1800 House Part 17. I have already learned about it. I don't need to go experience it. You know what I'm saying? Trust. The situation is calling for you to have faith. Yeah, with this specific love interest, I feel like it is, okay? Yeah. And okay. So for the ones where there's a boundary issue, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like they're too much of a daddy's girl, they're too much of a mama's boy for them to even be attractive. So you might have to have that conversation. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's do another one here. Oh, there we go. Calling in your soulmate, your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. Yeah. So again, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, doggone it, people like me, right? Doggone it, who wouldn't want a soulmate as awesome as me? Okay. Yeah, right? What was the movie I was watching the other day? I put on, it was a freebie on YouTube TV. I have a YouTube TV subscription. So when I watch videos, I don't get any of the commercials. Anyway, so, but one of the included was Legally Blonde, right? And she gets invited to that party at Harvard, which she got into Harvard Law, which her boyfriend warned her that she would be able to, but she did it anyway, right? And then she gets all dressed up for this party that she gets invited to, right? And she's looking like a Playboy bunny. And nobody else is in costume, right? And he's still there, and he's, and they're having a conversation, and she's like, and he's like, yeah, you're not gonna like stay here. And she's like, well, what do you mean? She's like, I got into the same school that you did. And he's like, oh, but you're not like serious, And she's like, I'm never gonna be good enough for you, am I? She says that to him in that moment, and it's like then she's realizing, she's like, then she starts doing what? She starts getting down to some serious business, right? And then what happens? She meets that very attractive Luke Wilson in the movie. Right? Isn't that his name? Because it was Luke and Owen. Yeah, I think this one is Luke. That's in the movie. Very, very attractive. Yeah. Anyway, way better than Warner. Warner was doing it because, his family and then the money and then, okay. Right? But she was there proving to herself that she could do it, proving that she was worthy. And then it was like, oh, I no longer have to prove to this guy that I'm worthy. She started realizing that, right? Because she was there in her own right. Okay. I feel like I think men do it too, right? But a lot of folks, they only see their worth when it is in a partnership, and that's not the only time that you have worth, right? You have worth even when you're together. You have worth, when you're, say, two separate people. Okay. Because guess what? Sometimes marriages break up, partnerships break up. If somebody passes away, what's gonna, what? Then all of a sudden you're not worthy? Well, that's pretty silly. That's a pretty silly idea, isn't it? Okay. It's gotten a little quieter outside. I think my dog has decided to stop barking at. Oh, maybe not. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully your favorite baseball team wins. Mine has not been winning the last couple days, so we'll see what happens here. Yeah, maybe they partied too hard on that wild card. Yeah, literally. So until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.